What if you could turn a regular backyard pool into a swimming machine without installing a huge permanent system? That's what this thing claims to do. This is the iGarden SwimJet X Pro 10, and it's designed to create a powerful current that you can actually swim against. Basically turning your pool into your own personal training lane. But here's what I really want to know. Is this thing actually powerful enough to swim against, or is it just going to feel like a big pool fountain? Today we're unboxing it, looking at everything that comes in the box, checking out the build quality, and going over some of the features that caught my attention. And stay with me until the end, because I'm going to tell you the one thing about this SwimJet that surprised me the most, and whether I think it's good enough to change the way you use it in your backyard pool. All right, let's get this monster out of the box and let's go ahead and dive right in. First of all, this is not your average little pool accessory. When you hear the words swim machine, you might picture some massive system that requires plumbing, construction, and permanent modifications to your pool. That's one reason this iGarden system immediately caught my attention. The SwimJet X Pro 10 is designed to work with both above ground and in-ground pools, so you don't necessarily have to have some huge luxury swimming pool to do something like this. According to the iGarden, it can work with pools starting around 6.56 feet by 13.12 feet, or 2 meters by 4 meters and larger. So even if you have a relatively compact backyard pool, this could potentially give you a completely different swimming experience. So you can see I've pulled everything out, and so you can see what I'm working with. One of the first things I always look at with something like this is build quality. If you're putting an expensive piece of equipment around water and expecting it to generate a strong current, you definitely don't want something that feels flimsy. So I'm going to show you the housing, the nozzle area, the controls, and how everything is put together here. Now, here's one of the more interesting parts of the design. The SwimJet X Pro 10 uses what iGarden describes as a triangular nozzle design. The idea behind that design is to increase the stability and efficiency of the water flow. And that's important because there's a big difference between simply pushing a bunch of water around and creating a current that's actually usable for swimming. You want a consistent stream of water coming towards you. And according to the specifications, the system is designed so that you can swim approximately 0.3 meters from the outlet. That's less than a foot. So instead of needing a long pool where you constantly swimming from one end to the other, the idea is that you stay in roughly the same area while swimming against the current. Think of it as almost like a treadmill for swimming. The treadmill keeps moving underneath you. With this, the water is moving towards you. And this is where I think something like this gets really interesting. Maybe you've got an above ground pool that isn't really long enough for swimming laps. Normally you push off, take a few strokes, and you're already at the other side. You turn around, take a few more strokes, you're back again. With a counter current system, you're potentially able to continuously swim without traveling the entire length of the pool. That can make a smaller backyard pool much more useful for someone who enjoys swimming for exercise. But it doesn't necessarily have to be all about serious training. I can also see families having a lot of fun with something like this. You've essentially got a controllable current inside the swimming pool, and because this unit doesn't entirely depend on having an enormous pool, it opens up the concept to a lot more backyard setups. Now let's talk about one of the specifications that really jumped out to me, and that is the battery itself. The X Pro 10 is rated at 1,000 watts of power. But here's the really interesting part. According to the product specifications, this machine has a 60 amp hour, 1,512 watt hour battery. And iGarden advertises up to 10 hours of endurance on a single charge. Obviously, actual runtime can depend on how you're using the machine and operating conditions, but up to 10 hours is impressive on paper. Because think about how something like this is probably going to be used. You may swim for a while, take a break, get back in later, let somebody else use it, and then use it again. You're not necessarily going to stand there swimming against it for 10 straight hours. So having that battery capacity could potentially mean much less worrying about charging it every time you want to get into the pool. So let's get a closer look at this machine itself. Here's the front, and here's where that current is going to be generated right here. And here's another angle so you can get a better idea of the overall size of this machine. When you're shopping online, sometimes it's really difficult to tell how large something actually is. That's one reason I like doing unboxing videos like this. You can look at the manufacturer's pictures all day long, but seeing the actual product next to the person gives you a much better idea of what you're getting. I'm looking at the seams, I'm looking at the housing, I'm looking at the controls, I'm looking at the areas that are going to be exposed to regular pool use, and my initial impression of the construction is it's built really well, it's designed really well, it's not overly huge, and I just like the overall design of it. I always recommend judging products like this based on actual use, so today we're focusing on the unboxing and what we're seeing straight out of the box. I will be doing future videos of how this thing operates, so make sure you stay tuned for those. So who would actually want something like the SwimJet X Pro 10? I think there are a few different types of people. First, someone who loves swimming but doesn't have enough pool length to comfortably swim laps. Second, somebody with an above ground pool who wants to get more use out of it. And third, someone who wants swimming to be part of their regular fitness routine. And fourth, families who simply want another way to have fun in the pool, like my family. We have an above ground pool and we're gonna have so much fun with this. Because let's face it, once you've had a pool for a while, you're probably already done with the floats. You've probably done all the pool games and you've thrown the kids in about 500 times. But don't actually throw anybody in who doesn't want to be thrown in, okay? Only if they want to be thrown in. But adding the current to the pool is something completely different that most pool owners don't have, or most kids don't have. So this machine's actually pretty cool, and I know my kids are gonna love it. Now we're going to get to the question I asked at the beginning of the video. Is this actually going to feel like a swim machine? Because specifications are one thing, real world performance is another. A 1000 watt rating sounds impressive, a large battery sounds impressive, a specialty design nozzle sounds impressive, but none of that matters if the current isn't enjoyable to swim against. That's going to be the real test for me. I want to see, can I comfortably stay in one position? How consistent does the current feel? Does it feel smooth? And most importantly, does it actually make a normal backyard pool feel different? Those are the things I'm going to be paying attention to when I get this into the water. Stay tuned for future videos on that because I will be doing an in-depth review of this product. And here's the thing that surprised me most during this unboxing. You might be interested in that. What surprised me the most? You don't necessarily need a giant pool to get this type of counter current swimming setup. The fact that iGarden designed the X Pro 10 for pools starting around 6.56 by 13.12 feet makes the concept much more interesting to me. You're potentially taking a pool where traditional lap swimming machines isn't practical and creating a stationary swimming area. And with the advertised 1000 watt rated power, 1512 watt hour battery, and up to 10 hours of endurance, that's a lot here and I'm excited to put it to the test. But the unboxing only tells us half of the story. The real question is, what happens when I turn this thing on and try swimming against it? Because if it performs the way it's supposed to, this could completely change what you're used to with a backyard pool swimming machine. So make sure you check out my full test of the iGarden SwimJet X Pro 10 when it comes out. And if this video helped you get a better look at what comes in the box, let me know down below in the comments section. So thank you to the seller, iGarden, for sending this out to me in order for me to do this unboxing video for you today. And like I said, stay tuned for 2 more videos on this product. And one of those videos is going to be me actually using this in the pool to show you how strong the current is and me swimming against the current. So stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.